Welcome to Lunch and Learn. We are going to talk about Hanukkah today. And since Rabbi already talked all about it, class is over. Dismissed. We'll see you guys next week. Happy Lunch and Learn. So we're going to skip over some of the stuff that he talked about. So your first blank, actually, because Rabbi already mentioned it, we already know. Number one, Hanukkah is only found in one place in our Bibles. Where is that? John 10. Good. John 10. It says that at the time the Feast of Dedication took place at Jerusalem, it was winter, and Yeshua was walking in the temple in the colonnade of Solomon. So just for context, remember, Yeshua, he spent most of his life up in the Galilee, and he walked all the way down, traveled all the way down, or I should say, even though it's south, we said go up to Jerusalem. He went all the way up to Jerusalem, which is about a 3 days journey, because it was that important to him, okay, to be in the temple during the feast of the festival of dedication. So next blank, Hanukkah means dedication. So that's why we understand this. That's how we know that this is Hanukkah in the scripture. And actually it's Hanukkah. Okay, Hanukkah. And we get this, we can verify this from Psalm 30. And this, I think, is anybody cold? I have a feeling you ladies are going to get cold. No, you're good? Okay, good. Psalm 30 has a passage that we can hear this word in. We recite it every Shabbat when we are doing our morning prayers here, and we say Mizmor Shir Hanukkah Habayit LaDavid. We say a song for the dedication of the temple. This word Hanukkah, dedication of, which is Hanukkah. Hanukkah means dedication. Okay, and so Hanukkah, as we've already learned from Rabbi, we're going to go into this a little bit more detail here in a minute, though. It celebrates and memorializes the rededication of the Holy Temple after it was defiled nearly 200 years before the time of Yeshua. So that's actually your blank number 3, rededication. I'm going to mute some people here. Good to have everyone with us online, as I said. Great to have you guys with us. We are in blank number 4. And actually, yes, blank number 4. We find the story of the Hanukkah and the Maccabees only in the apocryphal books 1st and 2nd Maccabees. Okay, 1st and 2nd Maccabees, and that's blank number 4. And Maccabees is Maccabees. Maccabees. Okay. Now I'm going to go into actually a more detailed story of Hanukkah than what Rabbi talked about. And so here's how it went down. Nearly 4 centuries before the time of Yeshua, there was a man, you may have heard of him. He was vaguely popular. I mean, just a little bit popular. His name was Alexander the Great. Okay.
Was he just great in his own mind?
I think maybe so. No. Why was he great? Does anybody know?
He conquered the known world.
Yeah, he conquered nearly all of the known world, right? Which included Israel. And by the way, he died at the age of 32, which tells you something. He was very ambitious at a young age, and pretty impressive. He introduced the Greek religion and culture to each of the lands that he conquered, creating a somewhat homogeneous kingdom that spread from Greece all the way through the Middle East and just about to the border of China. Okay, I mean, that is huge. Think about a 30-year-old man running a kingdom from Greece into China, basically. Okay, all of this territory he was conquering, and actually it was all homogeneous and doing well. Okay, this process of indoctrinating conquered lands with the Greek religion and culture is known as Hellenism. This is your number 6. Hellenization, sorry, Hellenization or Hellenism, either one.
Hellenization?
Yes,
We know Yeshua conquered the known world spiritually speaking by 32.
this is true. This is true. Okay, so let me give you a little background. So I'm gonna give you a little background to the setup of how things going on. Israel had a sort of a protected status compared to all the other countries and regions that Alexander the Great conquered. Why? There's a legend that said that Alexander, as he was coming into Israel, as he was coming to conquer Israel, he was actually met by the high priest and his retinue. Okay, and so they came out and saw him, and you know, his Alexander's his men and everything were like, you know, this is, you know, arrogance, everything. I'm going to get him. I'm going to put him down. And Alexander's all, wait. Says, I know this guy. And he's looking at the high priest. He's like, they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I know this guy. He's like, he's the guy that came to me in my dream and said, if you let me go before you in battle in the name of the one God, then I will lead you to victory against your enemy Persia. And that's exactly what happened. So basically he conquered, and he's like, wow, this guy, come on, have a seat. And he said, don't do anything to these guys, these people. And the priest basically said, hey, please do us a favor and allow us to have our own, keep our own religion, keep our ways. Don't let us have to, I'm gonna mute whatever sounds these are. Okay. Don't force us basically to submit to this Greek culture and religion. Okay. All of these other gods, we have the one true God, we have our own temple, all that kind of stuff. Please let us just remain the way we are and do the things the way we are, and we'll be loyal, faithful servants. You know, we'll be good people for your kingdom. We won't cause any problems. And Alexander agreed to this, especially with the whole dream situation. And Israel was spared from a lot of the forced Hellenization. Okay. But it was definitely infected. Okay. You can't help but be infected when your surroundings and everything change, and these people come in and they have different ideology, they have a different social system, they have different religious system and everything, and there's idol worship going on around, there's particular dress code that they're doing that's different than yours, and all these kind of things. They're talking about all these different things. And so that planted the seed within Israel, okay? And so it waged a constant war against Hellenization and Hellenism from that point forward. And this was hundreds of years. This is probably 400 years, like I said, before the time of Yeshua. After Alexander died, he eventually died at the ripe old age of 32, like I said. His kingdom was divided between his 3 generals. Basically, he didn't think he was going to die that young. Nobody thought he was going to die that young. So he didn't set up a successor for his kingdom. And so there's some rumors and there's some legends about what he said at his death and all that kind of stuff. But basically what happened was his generals battled each other and fought for his kingdom. And they ended up dividing his kingdom into 3 parts. Okay. And they were controlled by his 3 generals, which were Ptolemy, Seleucus, which is your blank, Seleucus, and Antigonus. Yes.
Weren't there actually 4?
There was 4, but ended up being 3 divisions to my knowledge. So I was thinking 4 too when I was doing my research.
Usually it was 5, and then one guy got killed or something, then it was reduced to 4. And then I don't know about the 3, but later on, the 2 minor ones, Seleucus and Cassander, ended up going away and became the Ptolemaic Empire
Mhm.
and I guess Antigonus.
Antigonid or something, Antigonoid, or that is a weird
So it
format.
ended up being two empires.
Yeah, yeah. And so, Israel, it fell into this Seleucid, territory, okay? Into the area controlled by Seleucus and his minions, so to speak. And so for the next 100 years or so, things were fairly stable in Israel. I mean, nothing really radically changed. However, they had some subsequent leaders. The leaders passed on. Different people died. Different people were overthrown. All that kind of stuff. And a succession of leaders going by the name of Antiochus were leading the Seleucid kingdom, the empire. And eventually, this man Antiochus IV came into power, who called himself Epiphanes. Okay, this is your blank for number 8. Epiphanes, Epiphanes, which means God manifest. This is a real modest guy, real humble guy, right? He came to power as the leader of the Seleucid kingdom in 175 BCE, and things changed. He didn't like the fact that Jews lived a life separate from everybody else, and they received some kind of protected status from the kingdom, had special privileges that gave them the right to basically be atheists. You know, that's where we get that word. The Jews were called by the Romans and the Greeks, they were called atheists because they did not believe in the pantheon. They only believed in one God. So they were called atheists. Okay. And so they were also exempt from the obligatory pagan worship that was required in the Greek Empire. They did not have to sacrifice to Zeus and all these guys. And so Antiochus IV, he was like, I didn't like people different. You've ever watched VeggieTales? Yeah, sneaky little people who do sneaky little things. Anyway, there's really, and that still goes for today. Why do people hate Israel so much? Is because they're different. They are not like the rest of the world. Okay, they hate Jews because they're not like the rest of the world. It's like, you're not like me, and you're not going to become like me, so I'm going to hate you. And so what happened was, first thing he did to sort of throw his plan in action, he removed the high priest Onias. This is blank number 9. He removed the high priest Onias, Onias, from office, and replaced him with his brother Jason, Jason, of course, just regular common name now, who was a Hellenistic sympathizer and had actually bribed Antiochus for the position to replace his brother. Okay, so this is how things started. And then after a while, another one of their brothers said, hey, I want this job. My brother's in the good sweet spot, and he's making, bank, and I'm going to come in and I want to take this position. And so the other brother, Menelaus, Manaleus, Manaleus, outbid his brother Jason for the high priesthood and became the new high priest. Okay, he lost his position because his brother forced him out, basically. Okay, so we got the sibling rivalry going on here. But to pay for the position, he didn't have the money, but he knew he would have the money once he got into the position. So what did he do? He robbed the temple treasury and gave it to Antiochus. Okay. And then when his brother Onias, the first priest that was actually righteous, and he was in favor of the Lord and against all this Hellenism, when he confronted him, Menelaus had him murdered. Okay, he had him assassinated. And at some point, Antiochus went to war with Egypt. Okay, because he wanted to fight Ptolemy and take over his territory and all that kind of stuff. And when he was down fighting in Egypt, a false report came back that Antiochus had actually died in battle. Okay. And so Jason thought, oh, this is a good time to set things straight and get my position back, because I won't have an interference from Antiochus. And so in 167 BCE, Jason, thinking Antiochus was dead.
Okay, nice to catch you up and all of that. Oh,
I don't know who just came on. Oh, I'm gonna mute you, Karen. Let's see. He waged civil war to forcibly take back his position from his brother, Menelaus. And he was successful until Antiochus marched into Jerusalem and defeated Jason and reinstated Menelaus. Okay, he's like, oops, that went bad. Exactly. You weren't supposed to be here. You're supposed to be there. So at this point, Antiochus was done with the Jewish squabblings, and he made the Jewish religion illegal. That's your next point. He made the Jewish religion illegal. He burned the Torah scrolls. He prohibited Sabbath and festival observance. He prohibited circumcision. He prohibited studying the Torah. Everything possible that made the Jews different, he forbade. Okay, here's a quote from the book First Maccabees, chapter 1, and verses 60 and 61. According to the decree, they put to death the women who had their children circumcised, and their families, and those who circumcised them. And they hung the infants from their mothers' necks. This is the cruelty. This is the cruelty we're seeing in the Middle East right now, in Israel, right? And so this is how evil and how much he hated Israel, Jews, and the God of Israel. And he desecrated the temple through prostitution. He offered a pig up on the holy altar and erected a statue of Zeus within the temple. Okay, Zeus is your next point. He had a representative go around to each of the towns to coerce the leaders of the town to sacrifice a pig and eat its flesh in front of the other Jews to show that Hellenism was a good thing. It's like, it's not so bad. You guys can do it. I'm doing it. You guys can do it too. You know, this is this is sort of like what Hamas did. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Hamas has enacted and staged these captive releases. Okay, they have choreographed them. Okay, they have beforehand told these people, when we leave, you give us hugs, you shake our hand, you smile at us, and if you don't, we will kill you. Okay, this is the way they're doing things, and this is similar to what's going on here. And so they're trying to get people to say, oh, this isn't a bad thing. This is a good thing. Yes.
do you want to monitor the chat? I don't know if people are asking questions or. Okay.
Just has. Thanks. Next up. And so they eventually came to this town called Moedim. And so that's your next blank. M-O-D-I apostrophe I-N. M-O-D-I apostrophe I-N. Moedim. And this is where the rebellion began. And this is where we meet Mattathias and his sons. So this is blank 13. I didn't really get the context for that. Blank Moedim. So what happened there was same situation. The Seleucid, the Hellenistic, the Greek, whatever you want to call them, came and they set up an altar. They got a pig. They sacrificed it to Zeus or whatever god they were feeling good about that day. And then they cooked the meat and they said, hey, all you leaders come up and you guys, we're going to have this meal here and you're going to eat in front of all these people and you're going to say this is a good thing. This is an okay thing. And Mattathias, who was of the priestly lineage, he was in the priestly line, him and his family, Mattathias ben Yochanan, he said, ain't no way. No, not going to happen. And he drew his sword. He not only killed the representative of Antiochus, but he also killed the Jewish man that was about to come and partake of the ham, okay? And so anyway, hopefully we did that. And then, of course, all hell broke loose, right? Antiochus is gonna throw down his army and forces everything and stuff. And so he and his 5 sons, they go into hiding, and this is where the rebellion starts. Because he refused to bow and publicly desecrate God's Torah and set a bad example, okay? So this is really a major theme for Hanukkah, of not bowing down to what the world wants you to be, but obeying God and doing what he wants you to do, okay? And so he and his sons, they went into hiding, like I said, and he had 5 sons. The most well-known of the sons, you may have heard him called Judah. He's called Judas in the sort of the Greek translations, but Judas Maccabee or Judah Maccabee. And he got the name Maccabee. That's not his last name, okay? Maccabi, they actually have, I think, a weapon in Israel called the Maccabi, or a rifle or something called that. But anyway, or maybe it's tank, I can't remember. But anyway, it's Maccabi means hammer. So he was the initial MC Hammer, okay? Yeah. And anyway, and so they called him the Hammer because of his guerrilla warfare tactics. He was a great military leader, and they would have these, hide out and attack and do guerrilla warfare, and attack these huge armies and come out on top, okay? There was one time early on when the Seleucids came and attacked the Jews on Sabbath. Of course, that's what everybody likes to do, right? They attack on Sabbath, attack on festival, whatever. And this is in First Maccabees, you can read it. Pardon me. But they attacked them on Sabbath, and guess what the Jews did? Nothing. And they were slaughtered. Okay, but because they said we're not supposed to pick up a weapon on Shabbat. We're not supposed to fight on Shabbat. We're not supposed to, all this kind of stuff. And that's true, but preservation of life is more important, right? And so they made a decree that because preservation of a life is more important, they would fight back on Shabbat. And from that time forward, they began fighting back on Shabbat, okay? And saved, of course, unknown thousands because of that. And so Judah and his crew, they did all these raids. If you wanna read something really exciting and fascinating to me, read First Maccabees and the accounts of that. If you like books like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, it's a great comparison because it goes into the battle strategies, it goes into the different things of what's going on, and it talks about at one point, the Seleucids, they've got, all these elephants they've brought in for battle, and they're coming against with thousands and thousands, and then you have this small group of, Israelite or Jewish army, and what's really cool is Judah's always praying before the battle. If it's your will, send the mighty into the hands of the weak, and let your name be glorified. I love that. It's beautiful. And they eventually conquer. Eventually, I think Antiochus gets pulled away into another conflict, and it eventually resolves the whole issue. And then he doesn't come back. You realize it's not worth the trouble. So eventually, overcoming all odds, the Maccabees repelled the mighty Seleucid armies and established the Hasmonean dynasty. Judah and his rebels repaired and cleansed the temple and rededicated it 1 year from when it was defiled. Anybody know the date? The 25th of the month of Kislev, Kislev. The 25th of the Hebrew month of Kislev, and this is blank number 14. Is it 14? Thank you. 14. Okay. And this is, we talk about light and oil and all that kind of stuff, but like the rabbi was saying, this is the real miracle. It's the real miracle that God delivered his people and reestablished his kingdom. He reestablished the temple, rebuilt the temple. This is what the real miracle of Hanukkah is about the kingdom going forth and going forward and what he wants to do in us and through us. And this is not recorded in the books of First and Second Maccabees, but it's recorded later in the Talmud that the legend was that there was only 1 day's worth of consecrated oil for the temple menorah, but it miraculously lasted for 8 days. The entire time that they had designated to celebrate the dedication of the temple. Yes.
And it also took 8 days to purify the next set of oils we used.
Right. And 8, as you may know, is the number of new beginnings. Okay, this is one reason why it's 8 days celebration. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a second and ask any questions from anybody in the house or online of what we've covered so far. Can't see everybody online, but if you have a question, just unmute yourself and ask real quick before we move on. Okay, we'll move on. I did not have time to go into this, but if you would like to research it about Hanukkah and prophecy and how Hanukkah was actually prophesied, there's the prophecies in the book of Daniel point to it. So you can read up on this if you want to get the book called Light in the Darkness from FFOZ, First Fruits of Zion. Excellent resource, and it talks a lot about that. Okay, it'll explain all that. So if you're interested in that. Some of the spiritual themes of Hanukkah include, as we've talked about, rededication. We, at this time, I know specifically in our family, we talk about how we can rededicate ourselves to the Lord. What can we do to shore up things that are getting away from us and so forth? Being light in the midst of darkness and the contrast between light and darkness. Spiritual purity. Right? Because this was the whole battle that was going on during that time period. This is what they were struggling for. Resistance to compromise and assimilation. This has always been a huge battle cry for me. Resist. And I actually did a teaching last year during this time called Resistance is Futile. Actually, no, that wasn't the title. It was called Hanukkah and the Board. That's what it was called. And using that as the model. But Hanukkah celebrated 8 days. That's your blank there. You guys already know that. But Hanukkah celebrated 8 days to represent the 8 days of dedication and the miracle of the oil. Lights are connected to the miracle of the menorah. And oil is connected to the miracle of the oil. So we eat special fried foods usually. That's really healthy, stuff that we're doing there for these holidays. Including something called sufganiyot. And I think that's your blank. Yeah, sufganiyot. Anybody know what a sufganiyot is? Or they are? Sufganiya, singular. The jelly donut. There we go. Jelly donut. Jelly-filled donuts. Sukkot. What's that?
It's a song.
It is a song. Okay. And then we also eat latkes, which are potato pancakes. They're like between a pancake and a hash brown, they're somewhere in the middle there. And it's traditional to serve those with like sour cream or jam or what else? Applesauce. Yeah.
I had somebody last year, I did a little lunch and learn for one of the kids' classes at school.
Mhm.
And I had somebody ask me the significance, why sour cream and applesauce?
It helps you deal with the taste. Probably just helps cut some of the salt. That's what I would imagine. I don't know if they have any significance, if there's any spirit, connection with the holiday. I don't know. It's probably just an Eastern European tradition or something.
Yeah.
We also play with dreidels. These are the four-sided tops and use gelt, which is like chocolate coins. It's you can't have a guilt-free Hanukkah. Sorry. And so the tradition, there's a tradition, whether it's true or not, there's a tradition that the dreidels originated when the Torah study was banned and outlawed from Israel. And they said what they would do is the rabbi or the father or whatever, he would be sitting in the dirt playing with his children with these little tops. And they would have this little game playing, and while they're playing the game, he would be teaching them Torah and having them memorize scripture and different things like that. But when the authorities came by, they're just playing a game, right? So that's the cover story, so to speak. And then we have these things called Hanukkahs. Okay, looks like a menorah. Smells like a menorah. No, okay, it's a menorah, but what's different about it? It has more branches. How many does it have? It has 9. Wait a minute. It has 9, but Hanukkah's only 8 days. What's up with that?
Yeah.
What's that?
One of the candles are used to light the others.
There you go. We have an extra candle called anybody remember? Shamash. There we go. The shamash is the servant candle, and that's our next blank. Why does the Hanukkah have 9 candles instead of 8? Because of the shamash. The shamash is the servant candle, so it means servant. And I apologize, I didn't realize I had 18 on there with nothing on there. So that's
Free space.
What that?
Free space.
Yeah, that's your free space. Anybody bingo yet? And so some of the traditional things that we do on Hanukkah is invite guests over during the week and celebrate Hanukkah with us. Okay, we have Hanukkah. We have certain things that we do on different nights of Hanukkah in our family that are seemingly totally unrelated to Hanukkah. And one of those is we watch The Sound of Music.
That seems
Okay.
totally unrelated.
Yeah, it's totally unrelated. But in a way, we have the same thing. We have an oppressor persecuting the people and all that kind of stuff with the Germans, the Nazis and everything. And so that's a tangentially connected, thing there. But it wasn't really intentional. It's just one of those things that we decided to do. It's fun. We're having fun. And the other thing that we do is we have sushi night. And so we have a sushi night that we make sushi and celebrate Hanukkah after we light the candles and all that kind of stuff. And so you can create your own traditions. There's nothing set in stone. Like I said, this is not the Bible says do it this way. Do what's meaningful to you. But I think a big thing is to invite other people over, to enjoy this, to experience this, to learn about this, right? Then we light the menorah. So get your, I've got a handout of lighting the menorah. So if you will grab that, we're gonna look at that. And I'm gonna grab something else while we're doing this. Okay, so the lighting the menorah, I'm gonna grab yours for just a second here.
Okay.
Okay, you can see this. Everybody online should have downloaded one. You guys here have one in person. This is a little chart I created to help you light the menorah. So as you can see, night 1, we have the shamash and the first candle. And some of these, most of the time, we're gonna add candles into your thing. Some of them are oil, but most of us have the ones you actually put the candles in. And so you put your candle, you put your shamash in, you put your first candle in, you light your shamash, you say your blessing, and then you light your first candle. You put your shamash back, okay? So you have 2 candles the first night. Second night, you do the same thing. And you have 2 candles in your shamash, and you go forward. Now, at the bottom, I have got this little thing that tells you how to do it. It says you insert your candles right to left. Basically, if you're looking at me, if you're the one doing this, okay, you'll put your candles in, starting here. Each night, you'll start this way. And you'll light them, though, this way. Why? Because this is the way you put them in. This is the way you create a new space for a new night, a new candle. Then you light the newest one first and go back to the oldest. Now, there was a debate during, roughly around the time of Yeshua, right before the time of Yeshua, between two rabbis you may have heard of called Shammai and Hillel, okay? And, they had a debate on how to light, the candles. I don't know if it's actually them, it's probably their school. A lot of things are attributed to them, it's actually their disciples, but anyway, which way to light the candles, or how should we do the candles? Should we put one in the first night and light it? Or should we put all of them in the first night and then reduce the number and let it go out as the night goes on? And school of Hillel, of course, won out, as usually the case. Said, no, we don't let our light decrease every night. We let our light increase every night. Okay, so that's the reason why we do that way. And yeah, always light the shamash first and use it to light the other candles. That's a great example. And this is a shameless plug. I've got my book, 8 Lights. If you want to get the whole, you can grab that at Amazon. But one of the things that I did in doing these, I have a devotion for each night. And the first night is all about the shamash and how actually this, yeah, it is the first night. And the trait of avodah, serving, and specifically serving God, serving others. But it uses shamash as an example of how we are to serve, but also how Yeshua served, and we are to mimic his example. Then we have play dreidels. Okay, so I've got another sheet for you. There's a dreidel sheet right there. If you look at this, so I know a lot of people get dreidels and they're like, okay, what do I do now? Because I can't read Hebrew and these are just letters and this doesn't mean anything to me. These are, and plus two of them look almost identical if you're not versed in Hebrew, okay? These first two. So I tried to make this make sense. Hopefully you can make it make sense. But here's the first one. This right here is a nun. I've got the name of the letter running vertically beside it. And then the word in Hebrew below it, and then transliterated is what it stands for, nes. This is a phrase. So you have, if you look at this, this is the letters nun, gimel, hey, sheen. And we'll talk about this last column in just a second. But it represents this phrase, nes gadol hayasham. Nes gadol hayasham, which means a great miracle happened there. And in Hebrew, you put your descriptive word after your subject. So anyway, it's a miracle great happened there. And so anyway, and so, but in Israel, a great miracle didn't happen there. It happened here. So it's nes gadol hayapo, which means here. And so you can actually get dreidels. I have one at the house from Israel that have a pay instead of a sheen.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's nes gadol hayapo. So a great miracle happened here, and that's always fun. So anyway, and so that gives you the letters. Each of these right here on the side, down the column here, when you roll it, this tells you what to do, and then this box tells you how to play the game, gives you the rules for the game. So if you've never played that, now you can, okay? So y'all enjoy that.
Doesn't it get played with chocolate coins?
It can be anything, really. In the instructions here, we've got, you can use coins, nuts, candy, you know, $100 bills, whatever you want. Okay, so just whatever makes it fun. And another thing we do as a tradition is, like I said, eat fried foods. And so we've already talked about latkes, sufganiyot. We like egg rolls, you know, do some of that stuff and different things, beignets. We make our own donuts. For our own donuts, we just usually what we do is take a can of biscuits, open that open. It's the healthiest thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Open that up, poke a hole through one of them, throw it in the oil, fry it up. When you take it out, cover it in either powdered sugar or cinnamon sugar mix or something like that. And those, oh, to die for.
So if you take the top off a spray can of Pam and trim off the outside, you can punch out a hole and you have donuts and donut holes.
There you go. Nice. Nice. This man's done it. Okay. Other thing is a very important thing, tell and read the story of Hanukkah. Whether you, I mean, of course, it depends on, age appropriate and, attention spans, all that kind of stuff. I mean, if Jared's involved, you gotta make it short and brief, no. But seriously, they've got all kinds of Hanukkah books out there that give the story for kids and their language and their brevity and all that kind of stuff. It's got illustrations, stuff like that. Get something like that if you have kids that need something like that. I've actually got the whole first Maccabees in my book, but read the story and understand what you're talking about, because that you'll have a connection to it. I feel, and it made a difference for me. And the modern tradition, you can give gifts if you want to give gifts. Has really no connection, but it's a modern thing. After all, we know that Hanukkah, as we learned from Rabbi, is the Jewish Christmas. No.
Did you know that Christmas may have originated with Hanukkah?
I've heard rumors of that.
Because Hanukkah was actually a late Sukkot. The early Christian scholars said that Yeshua may have been born on Sukkot, born on the first day of Sukkot and circumcised on the 8th day of Sukkot. So that's been a tradition handed down. But Hanukkah was a late Sukkot because they couldn't celebrate their festivals while the Greeks controlled the temple. They eliminated any festivals. But once they retook the temple, they had a late Sukkot, which ended up starting on Kislev 25. Well, when they switched from the Hebrew calendar, Jewish calendar to the Gregorian calendar, it became December 25. But the tradition of Yeshua being born on the first day of Sukkot and circumcised on the 8th day then transferred to Hanukkah. So it went from Kislev 25 to December 25.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, so that's all I have in my notes. Do we have any questions about anything? Anybody want to share your traditions that have been celebrating Hanukkah? Anybody online with us? I keep looking at the TV, but you guys are right here. So I'm gonna put this in move the spotlight so I can see you guys. Oh, we got a lot of people here. Anybody want to share?
I'm really new to this.
Okay,
I
tell us
bought-
all the experiences, Karen, just
I
joking.
bought the I bought the candle last year, and I only just sort of got used to lighting the thing, but I didn't really do much else. A lady at my local yarn store did have she called it yarn Hanukkah. But yeah, her husband was Jewish, so she obviously kept all the traditions. And so it was really like a knit night, and then she lit the candles and we had donuts and mince pies. Didn't do a lot really, so it would be nice to sort of pick up some new traditions if anyone's got any.
One thing I did not mention that's important, when, it's the whole part of this thing is to shine your light, right? And the tradition is that once you light your candle, or don't move it, but you set your candle in a window or close to your window so that it can shine out into the night. Anyone else want to share? Linda?
So we had a similar problem to what you're talking about, Karen, in that after we lit the lights, what do you do after that? And so I love, Darren, that you put some ideas in your book about, reading some things and having a teaching. But we would, originally we would look up different scriptures on light and, let your light shine before men, and all of that.
Right.
We just sort of incorporated that as a little reading. And then we ended up making each night a family night, doing different things. So, we would have special foods, different ones for each night, similar to you. We would play dreidel one night, we would make Hanukkah cookies one night.
Yep.
We would just kind of split it up into different events to make the joy last all 8 days, so that it's not just lighting the lights and walking away.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yes, Linda.
I wanted to share, you know, being in the world, and we just came to tour about 10, it hasn't been yesterday, but it's been about 10 years for Doug and I. We had no idea when we were younger. So this festival for us has a very profound meaning because when Yeshua says, you are the temple, right? And we are that light, and we're supposed to shine that light. You know, when we think back of how we lived when we were in the world, you know, we were eating garbage and, you know, doing things. So it's really a very powerful one because it was a rededication of our own temple, and it's really hits at home. And I don't know if anybody else feels that way. So what we typically do when we shine that light, you know, is very emotional for me, you know, having the opportunity to have a little one. I usually sit with her and I said, you know, let's remember that this light that is Yeshua, you know, he kindled the light back in us, and we are that. And we do also, you know, we'll share biblical stories and we'll do testimonies. I'll ask Rachel, what was your favorite story of the Bible? And then we'll do Bible trivia, you know, make it fun and things like that. And, you know, so we also do like little games and stuff like that. But it's a very, very special holiday for us in particular. But I don't know, but, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep, that's
you know,
great.
So.
Our kids look forward to it every year. No matter how old they are. Yes.
When you're reading about Yoshi's Epiphanes, you have a Bible on your phone. Look up Matthew 24, verse 15.
Matthew 24. Oh, the desolation.
Yeah.
That's actually in reference because he had already come 200 years earlier. So that was in reference to Titus. Okay, he was gonna come, he was gonna be the one to destroy and defile the temple in 70 AD.
Sometimes we do have that thing called dualism in Bible.
Mhm.
Will there be another application of this, or that's what the only one according to the prophecy? Roger.
There's prophecies, there's people that think that, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I was brought up in a faith that had really messed up that whole thing. That they still believe that the only reason the temple is going to be rebuilt is so the Antichrist can set up his throne there so that Yeshua can come back. I mean, basically, the reestablishment of the temple is a bad thing. The only thing good about it is that means Yeshua is right around the corner. So.
Okay.
Anybody online? Donna, you got your hand up. No, is that my cursor? No, that's my cursor, sorry. It turns to a hand when it goes over those.
I think
The
Daniel.
Townsleys, you got something to say, guys?
Sure, yeah. Yes, thank you for doing this. This has been fun. So we try to host people over as many nights as we can to kind of introduce other people to Hanukkah or share it with people who already celebrate it. And so usually we let each family light a Hanukkah, and once the kids toss back some donuts and you load them with glow sticks, it turns into a wild dance party. So the kids love the glow sticks, kind of gives them something active to do, and they get pretty great with those. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's some great Messianic songs on light that you can also play. So
yeah,
but
playlist.
The glow sticks were a big hit. We introduced last year. We had a lot of kids over, and so that can be a lot of fun as well for a tradition.
That is
I
fun.
never knew people. Yeah, I didn't know people would do things with glow sticks that these kids did. But yeah, it was
dollar store.
Yeah, it got crazy. Yeah.
Nice. Police didn't get called, did they?
Yeah.
We're not sure. We didn't have anyone arrive, so.
Okay, thank you, guys. Anyone else? Who has never done Hanukkah? Let me see a show of hands. Several in the room, several out of the room, offline. Okay, so this may be a first for you guys, even if you just light candles or something. Yeah.
Right, so I was looking online about the particular candles. I saw some that were white and some that were blue and white and others that were blue.
Mm-hmm.
What is the proper color, or does it actually matter? And is there a particular height
It's all very technical. They have a whole thing in the Talmud talking about the cult. No, I'm joking. It's just completely preference,
Yeah,
100%. And what fits in your menorah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Like a little.
Oh, that is so frustrating.
You get candles home and then they won't fit. So you're trying to melt the bottom and like
Yeah.
squeeze it in there.
Yep. Exactly, exactly.
Does it matter if it's electric or an actual flame?
No, that's a great question. It does not matter. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people that do have electric menorahs because they live in apartments or whatever, that they can't do that. And it's good for travel and stuff like that. So that's great.
And the
Yes.
electric one is just put in the window.
Yeah, for sure.
We've done both, we find the electric ones are much cleaner.
This is true. It's true. How many have had a Hanukkah fiasco with curtains
Uh-oh.
or blinds?
But I did have one fall to the floor. We thought.
Yeah,
it's bad.
so you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Safety
Especially when you
first.
have a rave party with glow sticks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't have one with curtains. However, I did discover the problem with using tea lights and it was just a little acrylic holder, but I didn't have a plate or anything underneath it. And it yeah, I have a permanent round burn mark on my table.
Yeah.
So I did that one, and one year I might have used the wrong kind of oil, and one of and not using olive oil, and I was like, I didn't know, I just stuck some
Gasoline and oil, different things.
well, it was like the regular, I don't know what kind of oil it was, but whatever it was, it went way more than what I was expecting, but thankfully there were no curtains around or anything. So yeah, I've had some real fun things with some Hanukkah.
Sounds like it. So we had somebody just asked, do the candles stay lit all night, or do you extinguish them? Actually, neither. You let them go out. They only last about 45 minutes,
Yeah.
something like that.
Depending on which way the wind, how the wind.
Right,
Just burn
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
But then what about if it's electric?
Electric, you're gonna have to blow those out at some point. No, I would imagine you'd probably just turn them off in the morning. That's what I would think, but I don't know. You can do whatever you want to do. Doesn't really matter. I would like to let mine just shine, in the morning you can't really see them.
We just add like it, when we light our other candles, we add the extra bulb and,
Okay.
yeah.
Just keep it running 24/7. Yeah.
Just plug up.
I turn mine off in the morning, but no, it goes all night. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So I wanted to piggyback off of what Roosevelt said in that quote in Matthew, when Yeshua says he's gonna destroy the temple and all that stuff. It made me think of like when Jonah was in the valley and, he says the same sign you're gonna have. There's a lot of foreshadowing back and forth, with scripture, with what everything basically that our master did was with a specific purpose and had very detailed, reasons why he did what he did. And it now brought up the light of, wow, everything that happened for Hanukkah, the Lord allowed it to happen. So the temple was desecrated, but it was because the Lord allowed it to happen.
Yep.
Because of what was going on. So it's real beautiful that he brought that scripture up to kind of give, whichever happened first, I'm not sure on the timeline how, but it's a nice foreshadow to see, what's going on.
Right. And really the temples are desecrated. The only way the temples are desecrated is when God's people don't do what they're supposed to, right? It's when we get caught up in the world and things like that. That's when things like that can happen. And so we just always want to encourage people, wherever you are in your walk, step up the game somehow, so we can keep this thing going, encourage others to do the same. That's what we're about here at Shalom. We're disciples grow, right? So, by the way, I miss my better half. She is teaching the kids. She's working with the kids for the kids program right now. So that's why she couldn't be here. But, I know you guys enjoy her as much as I do, or almost. But thank you guys so much for joining. Let's see, I've got another comment. Zoom South Virginia. Is there anyone in Southern Virginia who would like to meet up and fellowship for Hanukkah? This is from Bianca. So she's asking if there's anybody in there, if anybody wants to respond to that. I don't know where everybody's from. Brett is on the other side of the world. Might as well be in Washington State. Judy is in, Miss Judy is in India, the country of India. Tadlocks are in Tennessee. Townsley's are in Texas. The Brashies are in Tennessee. Karen is in England. Donna's in Tennessee. Can't remember. Michael, where are you?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Minneapolis?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
Okay. And Brenda, I assume that's you and Scott. Yeah, I couldn't see it there for a second, but they're in the Dakotas. Is it north or south? I can never remember. North? North, okay. They're in the frozen, they're the frozen chosen. So Lisa, where are you?
Montana.
Montana, you're pretty chilly up there too, I would imagine. And we have Takeko in Japan. So we got a multicultural thing going on here. It's amazing. So anyway, this is gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining. We love doing this with you. Appreciate you guys. You have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Darren.
You're welcome. Shabbat
Appreciate it.
shalom.
Thank you. Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Yes. Shabbat shalom.
Bye. Take care.